Hello viewers, welcome to Exodus Talk. This is your producer Akinyemi Mathew, aka Aki the Talkative. If you don't know what this program is all about, I'll tell you quickly. Exodus Talk is a place where we unview different things happening in our surroundings. We criticize books, we talk about politics, we talk about socio-economic ways of life, most especially in Africa, Nigeria. If you are just joining us, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Exodus_Talk. On Facebook, our channel is Exodus Talk. Of course, you can always send us views, suggestions, and opinions to our email at exodustalktv@gmail.com. All right. This week we have exciting topics to discuss about. Don't go nowhere. Thank you for your time.
This is quite a nice attire you have here, Mr. Elliot.
Thanks for that compliment, Mr. Alpha. You never cease to compliment my dress.
Because you always look good.
Thank you. Anyway, this is Lara's design. I'm wearing Lara's design, and
Wow.
all the way from Benin.
Wow.
And so I saw it and I love it.
She must really be very good at fashion.
Perhaps I will ask her to make one for you.
Definitely, I can't wait for that.
You pay your money.
No, sure. Every good thing will always cost money.
You're right.
It eventually costs me
You're
something.
right about that. Mr. Fred, your week, how's your week been? How was it? Has it been?
As usual, I'm fine. I'm alive.
The hustling and busting in Lagos. I hope you're not. You're trying to adjust to Lagos.
What do we do? What do we do? We are young people. We've got to work.
You're
We've
right.
got to hustle, like they say.
It's true. Do we really hustle, or it's just a slang for what? I don't want to be. Don't want to look at things. You know, I'm always skeptical about things. You know me, but it's okay. Over the week, I had a discussion with a lot of youth, my age-wise, and where somewhere I had to go for a lecture and also a seminar. And then I discovered something which we have to really pay attention to, and it's disheartening that we are not paying attention to it. And it is the role of African literature in Africa and the world at large. What something is lacking in the African context as regards African literature. That's why I had to bring this up, so that we probably might look at it, since Exodus Talk has to do with issues that form our environment and taking us back to the beginning and letting us know what it is. I think one important thing about that is lacking in African literature today is the role of moral. You know, when you read stories or literature, even the ones unwritten, we were told math or literature, you see that there is, in fact, 100% morals in it. We call that didactic literature.
Yes, didactic.
So what is it now? Why is it rather now that we don't have such in mostly African literature today?
You mean didactic literary works?
That has to do with the African principle, morals, because we have to look at morals. That's what is the number one thing that is lacking.
I quite understand what you are driving at. You see, my brother, the issue with literature is the reality on ground will always materialize itself. We always materialize in literary works. After all, that is why the legendary philosopher Aristotle would define literature as a mirror of life.
It's an imitation of life.
Imitation of life. So, when you lament that we seem to have less of didactic works, I quite agree with you. But then that's simply a reflection of the Nigeria we are in today. In Nigeria, where we seem to have deviated a whole lot from the very basics, from the very fabrics of our our forefathers, our ancestors, our culture. So when you have an environment where young people give less concern to morals, to our culture, to the very precepts that have been handed over to us by our predecessors, our ancestors, you are bound to have an environment where the moral ingredients it's bound to be eroded. It's an environment where today, even in music, not only in literature, even in music,
it's also part of literature.
The young people that are into these aspects of life are much more concerned about money. So they believe in giving to the society what the society wants, and not what the society deserves, and not what the society should have. So that is why we are where we are today, as far as literature, didactic literature is concerned. So I'm not surprised that we don't have much work in that aspect today.
Okay, so you're trying to you said something that struck me, that is not only in the book literature.
No, certainly.
Also, a genre of literature, the music part, which you refer to it as poetry.
Yes.
Aspect of it.
Yes.
My issue here is this. It actually telling on us, like you rightly said. Mr. Alfred, hey look, one of the issue or one of the basis of literature is to educate the citizens, to also bring them back to things that they were not opportune to know. For instance, you look at Achebe's Things Fall Apart. I gave us a rundown of the political, the structural, and the economic of the Igbos. The Igbos are organized the way, and Igbo, probably Nigeria or Africa, are organized Africa was before the coming of the colonial master. And one thing I begin to ask is that the African principle is shared in that book. We are lacking it today. Each family has principles and values. Then I asked the young man, I said, what are your values? He didn't give me anything. I said, okay, fine. What is your family value? Then he didn't know what to say. Then I was surprised. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. What's your opinion? What do you think needs to be put in place to checkmate this thing? Because we are losing it. We are gradually losing it.
A man who does not know where the rain starts beating him, starts falling on him, will never know where it will when it eventually stops. So the job has already been done.
That's an extra from what book?
No, that's surely Achebe.
Achebe, exactly.
Trust Achebe for that.
I saw it. I wanted to be more certain.
Trust Achebe for things like that.
Exactly.
So the issue, the question on what to do about that has already been started by you. By identifying the fact that we are losing it. The first step to self-recovery is self-discovery.
Exactly.
So you started the job already by identifying the fact that we are losing it.
Exactly.
So the question that you would need, the question that you would need to answer, that I would need to answer, that every responsible young person out there needs to answer is, where exactly did we start losing it? Now, from my own angle here, I can say that we started losing the very moral nutrients in our literature the day we started allowing the happenings in the society to dampen our passion for writing. Writing is a gift, my brother. It is an art.
It can be enhanced as well.
You see, how you use your gift depends on you.
Exactly.
Because gift is an intrinsic value. So, but when you, as a writer, now allow what is going on around you to water down what you have for the society, that is where the problem starts.
Why will a writer want to do that?
Yes, why wouldn't a writer do that? Why wouldn't a writer do that?
Why?
I'm not trying to justify the fact that we are blowing out our moral values. But the fact remains that in a situation whereby you sing what you think should be delivered to the society, you write what you think should be delivered to the society, and nobody seems to be patronizing you.
Oh.
And the other guy comes up with one useless thing that promotes immorality, and he's making money, making a whole lot of money, my brother. We are human beings. Blood and water run in our veins. The bills have to be paid. The children need to be taken care of. We need food on our table. So when you keep on preaching what you think should be given to society, and nothing seems to be happening to you, the motivation will die, brother. We have to be very realistic.
So which means that a culture has been imported to Africa. Because if it were to be our culture, if it were to be what we were handed over to, according to Bianco Diop in his poem Vanity, if it were to be something that was handed over to us and we imbibed it or we imbibed it, this will not be happening. So it means there is an importation of a culture that is not Africa that needs to be kicked out.
If you call it importation, you are not wrong. But I would choose to call it adulteration.
Oh, okay.
Adulteration in the sense that you are very responsible for whatever you allow to seep into your stream. You see, whatever goes on in your environment, if you are a writer who knows his worth, who knows her worth, he's honest, you shouldn't for any reason allow yourself to be manipulated by the society.
That's why to date I will forever give kudos to Chinua Achebe and this man
Ngugi wa Thiong'o of Kenya.
Because they stick to their brand, they stick to what they wanted. Achebe wanted the African values to let them know that we Africans, we had our values, we have our values. Don't try to kill it. But the writers we have, the modern day writer today, seems to depart from this.
I can simply say you are giving kudos to Achebe. I don't think I would love to do that on my own part.
Why?
Because
considering the fact that you went to the same school.
They belong to a different generation from ours. Achebe didn't experience what the modern day youth are experiencing. Achebe had all it took to, so to say, to write without being influenced by the pressures around. I strongly believe Achebe wouldn't wake up one morning and would be thinking of what to eat. Achebe that you mentioned, that you talked about, immediately he graduated from the university, he had a job waiting for him. So you can't compare the Achebe's time with our own time. So you don't expect our youth to do, our modern day writers, our young people who are into writing to toe the line of Achebe, because they belong to different generations. Nigeria of then and Nigeria of today.
Mr. Alfred, you've raised a very important discourse, and I quickly want to say this. I perfectly understand where you're coming from. Perfectly well. Trust me when I say perfectly well.
Thank you.
And the producer himself knows what I'm talking about.
Thank you for understanding me.
But there's something I want to say. You see, before this generation, there was a generation.
Yeah.
And before that generation, there was another
generation.
And the beginning of the beginning, say the world, the beginning of the world. And I think in one of Achebe's openings, he says something about the beginning the beginning and the beginning, dawn and sunset. I've forgotten how you put that. But what I'm driving at is this, Mr. Afri. The old writers, starting from Cyprian, starting from them down to Achebe to what we have Amanda. There's something missing. You see, there's what we call a thread. Thank God you did a bit of literature, or you did literature.
I did.
Okay, good. And there's what we call age or period. You see, in the Romantic age, they left something for an element of romantic write-up is still also found in the Victorian age.
Right.
Those Victorian has a new perspective entirely, but there is a foundation. And that foundation actually, or that foundation is laid by the fathers. So if the foundation is destroyed, or if the element of that foundation is not in the modern, then I think modernism then will become a trash, will become a tragedy. Because I believe what sub-modernity is on the wings of tradition. And that is why when you write, when we read African literatures today, we don't seem to see the elements. We are not saying they should write the way our fathers wrote. We are not saying they should paint the world the way they painted the world. Obviously, no. We are saying whatsoever you're going to write, let there be the movement of the element. Let there be an element. If not one, if not two, but perhaps there should be a core element, the element of Africa. African has value. African has tradition. Okay, we're not talking about the tradition, let's not talk about the value. The books you read today, oh, do we even read? Obviously, we do read. But what do we read? What is the value? That value is what I'm not saying there. We don't have the value that deals with our nationalism. We don't have the value that deals...
You made mention of modernism.
Yes.
I beg to come in from this angle of modernism. What is modernism supposed to be? Modernism is not supposed to be an adulteration.
Obviously.
Modernism is supposed to be something built on something.
Exactly.
So, why would you build on something when you have nothing to build on? Is that possible? Can you build castles in the air?
Obviously no.
Now, for instance, you are expecting the modern day youth writer to build on what Achebe did, Soyinka did, which of course were the generations after the generation of Cyprian and Quincy.
Exactly.
Now, my question is, was there a foundation? These people laid foundation quite all right, but was there a movement in economy, in the economy, in the society, in the political world? Can you compare the kind of politics, for instance, that our present-day politicians are playing with the politics of the founding fathers of this country? The likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, the likes of Tafawa Balewa, the great Awolowo, the Herbert Macaulays. Okay. Would you compare them? No, obviously no. You cannot. You cannot. So, my brother, literature remains a mirror of life.
Exactly.
Whatever you have in the society will definitely, if we must be sincere, will definitely reflect in the literary work of the people. So there seems to be no connection, because the Nigeria we have today is not, cannot be compared with the Nigeria of our founding fathers, the Chinua Achebe that you mentioned. The Nigeria you have today is not the Nigeria they had. There is no connection. There is obviously no connection between what they experienced, what they suffered, what they enjoyed, and what we experience, what we are suffering, and what we are going through. So you don't expect our literature, like you are trying to point out, you don't expect our literature to have so much connection, to toe that movement, that line of moral transportation of what they have to the present generation. So I am not in any way going to blame the young person who decides to live the moral values that he should pass across to the society, and decides to give to the society what he believes will earn him patronage and put food on his table.
Well, Mr. Alfred, you've unleashed so many things that I have a lot of questions for, but I won't be doing that today. Perhaps we'll take it to another episode where we'll unveil this question. But finally, I just want to say this, our viewers, that this is a very important discourse that we have right now here. And the African literature is so essential to every one of us. I know Nigerians read now, because it was in the olden days, or it was in the days of old. You say that if you want to keep a thing from an African, put it in the book. No, not now, not this generation. We Nigerians will read. But the question is, what do we read? We are so engrossed with 21 ways to making money, 10 ways of passing across wealth to generation, which to me is not really necessary, because I can't import the foreign mentality to African setting. So we need to go back to African literature for us to first know our identity, not only our identity, for us to be able to also notice our problems. Some of these things we'll discuss with my very intelligent and eloquent social critics as well, and also author Alfred Bassi. Alfred Bassi, we're going to be looking at nationalism, colonialism, tradition, and displacement of values, the trend that is going in the African literature. And of course, we're going to be looking at Chimamanda Adichie's most of our theme. Our theme, we'll look at them, and then
that'll be quite interesting.
Oh,
Amanda is my person.
I know that. So viewers, if you are a writer there, you want your book to be reviewed, you want us to discuss on your book, you want to show the world what you have, a poet, a researcher, please hit the YouTube button. You have it, hit the YouTube button. Please subscribe to our channels. It's very, very important to subscribe, because we want to be bringing this to you, youth perspective. You also visit us at Exodus Talk on our Facebook page, or you drop us a mail at exodustv@gmail.com. Thank you very much. I'm Mr. Alfred. I appreciate you. The producer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers.
Baby, oh, the way she dey do me.